Good morning and happy Monday, second graders. Today we are going to start reading another informational text. This one is equally as interesting as reading about superstorms. This one is called Jellies, the Life of Jellyfish. And that might not sound very interesting to you. Maybe it does, but it's actually a pretty cool topic. Mrs. Colda has already done one read through of this book, and now we're going to read it together. Sometimes it's good to read through a book multiple times because each time you catch more information and it helps your brain remember the facts and interesting things that you were reading about. And another cool thing about reading Jellies right now is even though I look out my window and it's kind of cold and wintry out or chilly out, we're going to be thinking about the ocean for this next week, which is kind of fun during these cooler months to kind of take your brain somewhere else and think about places where the water might be warm. So this is Jellies, the Life of a Jellyfish. It is an informational text that gives facts about a topic. The topic is jellies. As we read, we're going to look for photos and captions, facts and details about a topic. And then it says the target skill is fact and opinion, and we are going to do that. On the next slide, Mrs. Colda will go through fact and opinion with you. But during our first read-through of the jellies, I want to still continue looking at the main ideas and details that we can find. That's a pretty important topic or target skill, and so we are going to continue talking about main ideas and details. So be looking for something that you might think is a main idea. What does the author want us to be learning about? And then some supporting details about that main idea. And our essential question is, what is special about animals that live in the ocean? I bet you can think of some interesting things right now. I wonder if any of you have ever seen a jellyfish in the water. Or maybe you've seen a jellyfish washed up on the beach. Maybe some of you don't have any experience with jellyfish. Maybe you've never seen one. So this will kind of give you a good introduction to what they look like, which some of these I have never seen. Some of them look like the ones I've seen, and some of them look amazing. I don't ever want to see those kind because they're really big. So here we go. Jellies, the Life of Jellyfish by Twig C. George. And there's a picture of the author right there. If you were a jellyfish, you would have two choices, to go up or to go down. That's it. Two. You would not have a brain, so you could not decide what to have for breakfast or where to go for lunch. That's an interesting detail right there, or maybe that's a main idea, that they don't have a brain. That's probably pretty important. Most animals that I've ever learned about have a brain. So the fact that jellyfish do not have a brain, that might be a main idea. And some of the captions, the one on the left that is white says a mangrove jellyfish. And the one on the right says an unnamed jellyfish. That one's not named, but it's very interesting looking. The ocean currents would carry you along from place to place. In this way, you could travel hundreds of miles. Food might pass by you and get caught in your tentacles. Or not, because they're not worried about it. They don't have a brain. So maybe there's food, maybe there's no food. Sea turtles, dolphins, and whale sharks would try to eat you. You wouldn't worry about it because you couldn't. You don't have a brain. You would just float on. That one says a rhizostone jellyfish. And the one on the right is the comb jellyfish. You would protect yourself with millions of tiny mechanical cells that, when touched by another animal, release a chemical sting. Like a bow and arrow, it stings. You would not know if you were stinging a friend or an enemy. Remember, you don't have a brain, so you can't think about things like that. You would not even know what a friend or an enemy was. Jellyfish sting for protection and to catch food. That's all. They don't hunt and they can't chase. They just bump and sting, bump and sting. So if they sting something, they're not trying to do it. It's just because they're floating in the water and they happen to bump into it. The caption says, "Little fish swim in and out of the dome of this moon jellyfish." Do you see those tiny fish up in there? Some jellyfish sting gently. Some jellyfish have a sting so powerful that they are more dangerous than a cobra. These are the Australian box jellies. Those are the kind I would not want to see. Their sting is more dangerous than a cobra. All right. Oh, look at these cute little ones. Those are pretty tiny. They're called thimble jellyfish. And I know that because I looked at the caption or the label. Jellyfish are so simple that they look like plastic trash floating in the sea. When an animal eats a jellyfish, it stays healthy and strong. When an animal eats plastic, it gets weaker and weaker and eventually dies. That's why we don't want plastic in our ocean. Some jellyfish lie on the shallow bottom in clear, warm seas and grow their own food. These are called upside-down jellyfish. And there's a picture of them. Once they have eaten small bits of algae, just once, they can grow more inside their bodies by sitting in the sun. So they eat that plant, that algae, and then they just lay in the sun. And guess what? Sun helps plants grow, right? So that plant just grows inside their body. That's weird. They are their own greenhouses and grocery stores all wrapped up in one because they can grow their food and then they can eat their food. It just grows right there in their body. That's convenient. That label says Portuguese man of war. To be a jellyfish, you need to be shaped like a bell with at least one mouth and tentacles. Many animals called jellyfish are really something else. The Portuguese man of war is not a real jellyfish. It has an air-filled bubble instead of a water-filled bell. So jellyfish are shaped like a bell. Can you picture that in your brain? Jellyfish are almost all water and a little protein. They look slimy and disgusting when they wash up on the beach. I have seen that at ocean shores. They do look a little bit creepy when they're laying there on the sand. In the sea, jellyfish are beautiful. There are jellyfish as big as basketballs with long red tentacles called West Coast sea nettles. And that's the one we're seeing in the picture on the left. There are tiny, elegant jellyfish that look like a blizzard of snowflakes. That almost looks like a spider web, I think. There are jellyfish that grow so big that they are as long as a blue whale. They are called Arctic lion's mane jellyfish. They pulse and drift. They eat and reproduce, which means they make more. They live and die, all without a brain or a heart. Someday you might be very lucky to see an ocean full of jellyfish. And since you have a brain and a heart, you would know you were seeing something unforgettable. Look at that diver just amongst the jellyfish. That is a lot of jellyfish. And I'm thinking all of that gear that they are wearing must be protecting them against the stings. All right, now we're going to shift gears and I'm going to go to a slideshow that I made. And we are going to think about some of the main ideas and details that were in that story. So, jellies, main ideas and details. At the beginning, we found one, and I remember pointing it out to you. Jellyfish have no brains. That's a main idea. They talked about that a lot in this story. And a couple of details that I saw were they can only move up and down. So their bodies, they don't have a choice really what they're doing. They can go up or down, but their brain doesn't need to tell them what to do because they don't have one. They move with the ocean current. So they can go millions of miles, it said, just because they can't control it. They're just floating around wherever the ocean takes them because they have no brain. They don't worry about predators. It said that they just kind of bump into things. If something tries to eat it, they don't worry because they don't have a brain. They can't run away. And the only way they defend themselves is because their body is made to defend it. But they're not doing that on purpose. All right. The second main idea I found in this story was that jellyfish sting, which is just what we were talking about. So their bodies are made to sting and to float. Those are pretty much, and to get their food without them having to really try very hard, right? Jellyfish sting. So that's the main idea. Some details about the jellyfish sting are they sting for protection against predators. They sting to catch food. That helps them paralyze their food so that they have some food around them that they can eat. They don't try to sting. They sting when they bump into something. So they're not chasing something going, I'm going to sting you. Nope, they just accidentally bump into it and go bzzz, and it gets stung. Box jellyfish have a dangerous sting. That's the one that had a sting as dangerous as a cobra. So remember, some of them have just a gentle sting, but I thought it was a pretty interesting detail that box jellyfish probably have the most dangerous sting. So those are some facts about jellyfish stinging, which was the main idea. All right. So those are some of the ones I pulled out from the story. Maybe you caught a few other main ideas or details that I missed, but I just wanted to review that target skill with you guys. Main idea and detail. So if I were to be writing about this, I could put jellyfish sting, and then I could support it by saying they sting for protection and to catch their food. And then I would start listing the details in my writing because I want to support my main idea with some facts. All right. When we come back, we will be talking about fact versus opinion.